Good evening. Tonight we're looking at anxious brains in the classrooms they learn in. Across Canada, anxiety is identified as the most common mental health difficulty among children and youth. In this course, we've been working with the World Health Organization's idea of mental health as a state of well-being that lets people cope with everyday stresses, realize their abilities, learn or work productively, and contribute to their communities. When those conditions are disrupted, anxiety becomes more likely, and school is one of the main places where that shows up.
Thanks, Rich. From a biopsychosocial perspective, school is not just about grades. It's where physical, mental, and social pressures collide. Our Week 2 learning reminds us that things like sleep and nourishment, emotions and thoughts, and relationships and belonging all interact. Early start times, long days, dense academic demands, and complicated peer dynamics can strain every one of those domains at once. When the body, the mind, and the social world are all under pressure, anxiety risk climbs.
To dive deeper, let's look at neurobiology. The neurobiology of anxiety helps explain why school can amplify symptoms. Our Week 5 learning frames anxiety as overactivation of the amygdala and the HPA, alarm and response, system, with underregulation from the prefrontal cortex, which isn't fully mature until late adolescence. A little bit of anxiety can sharpen focus, but chronic or high anxiety impairs executive functioning, attention, and memory. Those are exactly the skills that multi-step instructions, complex projects, and timed assessments rely on. So when the alarm system is constantly switched on, school gets much harder.
Let's not forget the social structure of schooling can also act as a risk factor. Week 3 in our classes emphasized that loneliness, defined as a lack of belonging rather than simply being alone, is associated with lower educational attainment, increased risk of mental illness, and about a 26% increase in early mortality. International data show that roughly 1 in 6 students often feel lonely at school, and about 1/3 feel they do not belong, with belonging declining as students get older. Competitive, high-stakes environments tend to increase loneliness, while more collaborative environments reduce it. For many students, school becomes a place where social anxiety, performance anxiety, and exclusion intersect.
Let's swing back to Week 2. Remember that social determinants such as culture, socioeconomic status, family circumstances, and current events also shape and influence well-being. For many students, school is the site where racism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, and poverty are experienced or mirrored. These structural stressors interact with individual vulnerabilities to heighten anxiety. So when we talk about anxious students, we're really talking about anxious brains inside particular school systems and wider social conditions.
Given this analysis, the question becomes, what can educators actually do? Week 2 and Supporting Minds both stress that teachers cannot and should not attempt to diagnose mental health difficulties. They're not clinicians. Instead, educators are responsible for promoting positive mental health, identifying students who may be experiencing difficulties, and connecting them with appropriate services. The Ontario Health and Physical Education curriculum adds that classrooms must be healthy, caring, safe, inclusive, and accepting to support cognitive, emotional, social, and physical development and mental health. Let's speak to a local teacher candidate to get more ideas. Hi Andrea, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Lisa. This is where I come in as a teacher. My first planning commitment is what I think of as stress-aware design. Because excessive anxiety impairs executive function, attention, and memory, I don't want my classroom to keep students in a constant alarm state. Practically, that means using predictable daily routines and visual schedules so students know what's coming, making learning goals, success criteria, and exemplars transparent, and offering varied ways to demonstrate learning instead of relying on timed tests. I also want to build in short pauses, movement breaks, or quiet reflection during cognitively demanding lessons. These are ordinary pedagogical moves, but they are deliberately aligned with what we know about the stress response. A second commitment to reduce student anxiety is to treat belonging as a form of protection. Our Week 3 learning shows that students who feel accepted and valued have better mental health and stronger engagement. To support that, teachers can use cooperative structures where everyone has a role, explicitly teach how to listen and disagree respectfully, and pay attention to who is often left out of groups. We can also frame errors as shared learning opportunities. In the risk and protection framework we've used in class, competition and isolation act as risks, but structured collaboration becomes a buffer. As educators, our final commitment should be to treat curriculum as part of mental health. Ontario's health and physical education curriculum reminds us that learning about mental health and emotional well being should run across topics, and Supporting Minds encourages us to see behavior as possible communication of need, not just acting out. In practice, that means weaving simple mental health literacy into everyday lessons, normalize help seeking, and setting classroom norms that protect confidentiality and consent rather than just relying on posters or a single mental health day. To close our show today, I want to say thank you to Rich and Lisa for helping explain why so many students are feeling anxious in our current schools. Stepping back, the biopsychosocial model, stress response research, loneliness and belonging data, and determinants of health lens all point to the same conclusion: context matters. Our shared goal as educators is to use these frameworks to design routines, relationships, and curriculum that lowers unnecessary stress, strengthens belonging, and connects students with support when they need it. This is what a mental health informed classroom can look like in our future. On behalf of all of us, thank you for watching and good night.